This is an uncensored podcast about sex and sexual topics. Listener discretion is advised. The views and opinions expressed in this podcast are solely those of the person or persons sharing them. Some names have been changed to preserve the anonymity of its participants. So we're hot. We have a hot mic.
Okay.
But like I said, we were gonna edit out like everything that we don't like. And
should I speak up or just be natural?
No, it's picking you up great. It's like ridiculous how amazing iPhone recording is nowadays. Like it's really easy to be a podcaster. You just have to
Will this outdoor noise affect it? Should we close it? I'm fine.
No, I like sometimes to have a little noise. It gives you a setting. Yeah. I don't mind
like Rainbow
noise.
Row.
It is really much like that, yeah. Every house here has a different color, except that there's only like 4 different colors, so, or maybe 5. So if you go back there, you'll like see another house the same color as mine, but it's a different style.
Wait, I didn't notice. What color was your house?
My house is like a red,
like that
brick chimney color.
Yeah, like that one.
Yeah.
To the right.
Except for I think my parents are like, they're like getting to that age where they don't give a shit what people think about what they're doing, and so they've like started painting the back of the house a different color, and I'm like, it's like white, and I'm like, is this a primer or are you like painting our house white?
Oh my gosh, that would be a shame if it were just white.
Yeah, and they literally can't. They're not.
So there's no HOA.
No, there is.
Okay.
I don't know. I think it's a primer. Okay. But I'm like, have you guys lost your mind? I always wonder if my parents have lost their elderly minds.
They just don't seem elderly. They seem...
Well, my mom dyes her hair.
Is she over 60?
She's like 73.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Oh, my gosh.
Yeah, I mean, they look pretty good.
They look great.
Like 74 or something, my stepdad. And,
no, they look really great.
They look really great. And I hope that when I get to be 70, I'm, like, first of all, alive, because the men in my family don't always live into
I didn't know
70s.
you lost your dad until you said that on Saturday night. That was amazing, by the way.
When I was doing a stand-up show, and I was like, let's make jokes, and then I was like, my dad died.
Yeah, that did kind of throw me off a little bit.
Yeah.
But
well, I didn't plan that well. I mean, there's...
And then the micro penis thing.
Yeah. I don't exactly have a micro penis. I have like a normal penis, but I just think it's funny
It's like the Howard Stern thing. Like, he swears that he has such a small dick, but...
Yeah.
Like, his wife and everybody else who's been with him says, no, it is fine.
I mean, he's a skinny thick, probably. Like, he's a tall, skinny guy.
Yeah.
I think that,
very tall.
Marilyn Manson might have a tiny penis.
Oh, I bet.
Yeah. I mean, everyone would assume he has a big penis, but I think he probably has a small penis.
Especially hearing, like, the Evan Rachel Wood stuff.
Oh, my God. Yeah.
I can't believe that.
Yeah.
I only
Were you ever into him, Marilyn Manson?
No.
Yeah, I wasn't really either.
No, that was, like, he came out, like, in the late 90s?
Yeah.
Like, after Nine Inch Nails.
Yeah.
And it seemed like he was sort of, like, I was like, oh, it's a Trent Reznor wannabe, and then it just, the only song I can name of his is Beautiful People, and that's not a great song in my opinion. I don't know what else he did.
He came
except
out,
for
like,
rape.
I feel like
Rachel
he came
Wood.
out, right, he raped her, like, on a set for, like, a music
Like,
video.
on the, yeah.
In front of everybody, and
right.
they were like, what? I think that was around the time of, like, Rammstein, too. Remember Rammstein?
Yes.
And there's just, like, a lot of bands like that, and I was like, what is this?
That's when you were
I was like
in high school?
I was like a little bubblegum tween. I was like, well, yeah, I was in high school.
What year did you graduate?
Like 2005.
Oh, wait. You're a lot. Wait, what? How old are you?
I'm like 36.
Oh.
And you're like
in your early... I'm 46.
46, okay.
But I graduated in 93. Were you held back? No, I graduated early.
I was not held back. I did what's called like a year of developmental kindergarten before kindergarten.
Yeah.
So I went to like preschool like twice.
Yeah.
They were like, he's having too much fun. We don't want to pressure him with like learning how to tie his shoes. And I was like, yeah, that tracks. I'm really having a good time, guys. So, I mean, and I've always done everything at my own pace. Like, I'm such a Taurus. Like, I'm just like, no, I'm not gonna like be pressured to like learn the alphabet right now. I don't want to read. And to this day, I don't know how to read.
So you were, yeah, me neither. So you were 6 or 7 when you started kindergarten?
I think I was like 7.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was like a different thing. See, my cousin did the same thing. The reason why my parents put me through like a million years of preschool is because my cousin did it too. And I think it was like this program they were trying, the school district was trying, and her year was the first year they did it, and my year was like the last year they did it. They were like, this doesn't seem like it's helping anybody. And it's just like the school gets to pay for another year of kids going to school.
Yeah.
Because it was like through the public schools. They were like, wait, why are we doing this?
It definitely benefits the kids like later on in school. Like I was 4 when I started kindergarten.
Yeah. Oh, wow.
And I was always behind, like in size,
yeah.
physically. And I felt so pressured that like I felt embarrassed that I wasn't catching on to things as fast as everybody else.
Yeah.
And whenever I would ask a question, which I didn't realize was like, quote unquote, a dumb question or stupid question, I would get made fun of. And so I just stopped asking questions like for the rest of my school career. Right. And obviously that's, I just struggled and pretended that I was doing okay. And I tested really well somehow, but it was, like the little things that I didn't understand. I just never felt comfortable asking for an explanation or...
I felt that same way. I think school is it's so easy to hide, and teachers aren't trained to like... It's not like they need to pull you out of your comfort zone, but they should be like... They should be looking for kids that like aren't instantly like raising their hand. Like we used to do like drills and stuff where like they'd be like, who can answer the question the fastest? Of course I never answered. And so that just means that 3 kids in the class get to like learn that day, and the other kids are like, "Wait, how did they get that answer?" And like no one's explaining.
And go home feeling bad about themselves.
Yeah, that was like my whole life. I actually decided that like school traumatized me so much. I like hate it, and we're gonna sue.
Me too. Well, I was bullied on the school bus in kindergarten, like sexually bullied. Yeah.
Like by another girl or by a boy?
By a boy who, like, nothing like this would happen today, but, and it's one of my if not my earliest memory.
Yeah.
Like, I was, like, 4, maybe had just turned 5, so, I just remember that the boy made me pull my pants down and then walk from the back of the bus all the way up and, like, stop at each, like, aisle row.
Yeah.
And show the kids. And he took me up to the bus driver. And so, I had this thought, like, the bus driver will save me.
Yeah.
And, punish the kid. And it was, like, an old woman, and she basically said, get back to your seats. And so, slowly he walked me back, but, like, it was awful.
Yeah.
And then I remember coming home, like, getting off the bus and standing at the front door, like, in tears, and my mom opened the front door, and I wanted to tell her so badly, but I didn't. Like, I couldn't. And so I never told anybody until I would, like, remembered. Now. Yeah. I've told other people.
Okay.
But, like, I never told an adult while I was a child that happened, and nothing was ever done about it. And I don't think it happened again.
Wow, but that's so crazy. How old was that boy? Like, much older?
No, I mean, he was bigger for sure. So, I mean, it was probably it was a K through 5 school. So he could have been a 5th grader, but
Yeah, but at that age, even, like, being 2 grades older is, like, so much older.
Right.
Yeah.
And the poor little kindergartners, can you imagine?
Aww.
I know.
Yeah.
I mean, if you ask any woman, she probably has, like, you know, a story similar, or...
Especially if you started kindergarten at 4.
Right.
That's, like, so
it was
crazy.
teeny tiny.
Yeah. And also, like, I feel like back then especially, like, the bus driver was, like, not... She didn't have to, like, be... You know, they didn't do, like, a background check. It was just a person that drove your kids home.
Mm-hmm.
It was, like, a taxi driver for kids.
Yeah.
So they probably wouldn't have been like, I need to step in and solve this problem.
Yeah.
Because they were just like, get behind the line kind of
And
thing.
she probably hated her job and just, you know, probably never even thought about it again.
Yeah.
Whereas it, like, you know,
that would have been like in the early
my
80s.
Entire school.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, no, not even, because I was born in 75.
Okay.
November. So that I started in September of, I guess, 79.
Okay.
It's kindergarten. And then, yeah.
It was a whole different world.
Yeah, because first.
Wow. I wonder, was that, like, weird for you to start kindergarten at 4?
Or no, it was 80. And then I turned 5 in November, like, started in 1980.
Okay.
Yeah, because I can remember what year I was in each grade by... I was started first grade in 81, second grade in 82, ninth grade 89.
Yeah. You're slightly older than my youngest brother. He was born in 80. Yeah, that's so crazy. I'm trying to think of, like, I definitely got bullied. I never got bullied in, like, a sexual way, but, like, I don't think I ever got bullied in a way where, like, I was physically abused. I just was, like, all verbal stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Like, school was, like, meh. And I really hated it. And then one year, like, it was my birthday, and they, like, made me wear, like, a Burger King crown. And I was like, I already want to, like, crawl into my locker and stay there for the rest of the day. Like, why would you make me wear a cardboard crown? Like, I hate you.
I bet you looked so adorable.
Well, they made all the kids do it on their birthdays, but the kid would just, like, carry it with their stuff. They wouldn't even put it on. Nobody did.
But they forced you to put it on?
No.
But you just didn't have, like, the guts to say, I don't want to wear the freaking cardboard crown.
I think it was, like, a thing of, like, just don't say anything. Just take the crown, just go to the back of the room, sit down, like, scribble on your papers until this class is over. And that was just normal. That was just, like, life, you know?
Did you like people to sing happy birthday to you?
I don't think they would have in school, but, no. I don't really, I mean, because of that, like, upbringing, like, you just always don't kind of want people to, like, make a big deal about you.
Right.
Like, it was only in my, like, mid to late 20s that I was like, oh, we're going to celebrate my birthday.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you know.
I still don't like it.
You still don't?
Yeah.
Yeah. And it's not just because it's, like, you're another year older. It's, like, you just don't
No,
like
I just never have been, I've never been like, it's my birthday month, you know, how some people do. And still, like, if I didn't have a kids, then I wouldn't do anything. And I still don't.
Yeah.
I mean, I let them make a big deal out of it because it's special for them. And of course I make a huge deal out of their birthdays, but, yeah.
Yeah. Do you, like, how much has being a mom, like, changed your life? Like, obviously a lot, but, like...
Like, completely, yeah.
But you're still a rad person. Like, you didn't lose your radness.
Well, I'll agree with that, but I definitely... No, it made me more responsible for sure. I mean, my life was a train wreck from my early teens through up until, like, I met my husband pretty much. Mm. Well, I was, like, kind of on the right road, like, the 2 years before I met him.
Yeah.
And, like, you know, I started to actually, you know, I had turned 30 and realized, like, oh, I'm not going to die at 27 like Janis Joplin and Jimmy, like,
that
my
was your
whole
plan.
I always figured, like, live fast, die young, have, you know, have fun. And, you know, and if I do happen to, get to 40 or, start to age, well, by then they're going to have like all these pills and sprays and lotions that will, reverse all the sun damage I'm doing to myself and like repair my liver and, and I'll still be fine when I'm in my 40s and 50s. And well, it's not true, obviously, but it was like 10 feet tall and bulletproof when I was in my 20s. Like I had no fear.
Yeah.
Just took every chance to, tried everything. And had lots of secrets from my family because I did a lot of really weird stuff, but
I wonder if that's like a thing that's like solely how we experience like getting old, like now, like in 1912 where people like, I can do whatever I want because I'm young, and like they're gonna have this like surgery when I get old, because like they didn't really have plastic surgery a long time ago, so I wonder what people probably didn't think they were gonna live
life
that
expectancy
long.
was so much shorter back.
So they were wild because they were like, we're gonna fucking die anyway.
How wild were people though?
Were they?
I mean, like I like to think of my grandmother who grew up in the roaring 20s.
Oh my God.
And she was apparently really, I feel like my grandmother is kind of like my kindred spirit.
Yeah.
I like to think that I
Is
take
your mother
after
not?
her.
Is your mother, or is it your mom's mom?
My dad's mom.
Oh, are your parents
She
kind of
was
like not wild child?
No.
Oh. So it skipped a gen.
Yeah, I think so. And she wasn't even really either, but I think that she definitely knew how to have fun.
Yeah.
And like physically we have a lot in common. I didn't know her well at all because I think I was like 21 when she died, but I hadn't seen her in like 8 years. I hadn't seen her since I was like 12, I think.
Do you look like her?
Yeah, I think so. And I found these pictures. My grandfather used to love to photograph her. And I thought that was like the most romantic thing ever, that he just loved her so much and thought she was so beautiful that he took so many pictures of her.
That's really cool.
And I kind of like, that was sort of like a benchmark of, like, well, if I ever do settle down, then it's going to be somebody who looks at me the way that, Grandpa looked at my grandmother.
Yeah.
I did find that guy, but she did like nudie shoots. And I have this picture, a photograph of her where she's wearing like a see-through negligee. And, kind of like this, same color hair. And I think she was probably around my age too when she did that, or maybe like early 40s. But she looked good, and I have it like hanging in my bedroom.
Oh, I love that.
Yeah. Well, my whole bedroom is all like paintings and photos of women.
Yeah.
I love women. I think that women are art.
Yeah.
In all forms. But
that's so cool.
Yeah. But
was that a picture?
Lots of nudes.
Was that picture of your grandmother something that like he took of her and then they kept it in secret between the two of them?
Yeah, they were hidden.
Okay. So
But
you think somebody found it after they passed away?
I did.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, because when my grandfather lived, I think like 8 years longer. Yeah, because I was around 30, so around the age where I started to like take a little more responsibility and be a better person. And when my dad was going down, after my grandfather died, they were going down to clean out the house, and I volunteered to help him. So we road tripped down to Florida. That's where all grandparents live, right?
Right.
So
that's where they go to die.
And oh my gosh, like my grandfather kept every receipt. Like there were receipts for like 12 cents at the hardware store. It was a lot of work.
Like in shoeboxes or something?
Yeah. But I found his Playboy collection, which is kind of like valuable.
Yeah.
They're not in like great condition, but he had tubs of like from the 50s, 60s, 70s.
Oh my God.
I don't know about 50s, but I don't know when Playboy started.
I don't
but
know
like
either.
really old, and they're beautiful. Lots of big bushes. And boobs are different. Like 60s boobs are so different from like current boobs.
I think they were pointier.
They had, it's because of bras, the way that bras were designed.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah.
So bras were pointy, kind of.
I think so, yeah. Yeah, and like different, and I don't know if there was underwire up until a certain point, or, but yeah, boobs, if you look at like boobs from different decades, there's a noticeable difference in shape.
Just the naked boob?
Yeah.
Do you think the bra changes the shape of your breast?
Absolutely, yeah. And they say that the best thing to do, and I encourage my daughters to do this, although they are not into it at all.
Do they have
to
boobs?
No, not yet. But to never wear a bra.
Oh, okay.
They say that the best shape, like if you want to keep like the most flattering shape, then you should never ever wear a bra.
They're like, Mom, we're going to be the only girl not wearing a bra.
Exactly. And I understand that, especially because when you first start growing boobs, they're like, your nipples are puffy, you know?
Yeah.
So I'm okay with them keeping those covered. Plus, like, creepers are gross, and I don't want people looking at my daughters like that, but I do tell them, you know, like, when you get home, take it off, and, you know, for breast health, too. It's not just, like, the appearance, but, like, for the health of your breasts, it's best to not, like, try to push them in any direction all day long, or have them, like, pushed down, or...
Speaking of creepers, after my show on Saturday, we went to the pit.
Yeah.
And it was just like chock. First of all, there was a fucking wedding reception for some reason.
Oh.
Like, I don't know who goes to a dive bar for their wedding reception. But then there was like a ton of golfers, like over the age of 65. And they were being...
You do not even have to finish the story.
Like the lowest form of humanity.
Ugh.
Like, I would tell your daughters to watch out for fucking men on golf trips with their friends.
You don't...
They're so revolting. There's so many guys went up to my niece and they were like...
I was just going to say, I bet she got...
She was like a piece of raw sirloin in like a lion cage. It was disgusting. And these men were so old.
Does she know how to handle... Like, she's...
I mean, she doesn't, but she's like, she's nice. Like, this one guy was like, talking to her and asked her, what's your costume? And she's like, I'm the angel of death. And she's like, he was like, oh, I mean, he was like totally flirting with her. And there was three other people talking to her when he walked up. And he just beelined and just started talking to her. We were like, hello. And he interrupted a conversation. And then when we all made it known that she wasn't into what he was talking about, like, he just started talking about his 5-year-old granddaughter, which was so weird. And we were like, literally barf. Because you were old enough to be my niece's grandfather. So, like, get out.
I hate creepers.
It was so weird. And then he started talking about shrimp and grits, and I was like, I'm not into whatever you're saying, no matter what it is. I also don't really like grits that much, but I mean...
yeah.
And he was like, you don't like grits? And then he wouldn't let that go. I was like, dude, you are not wanted here. Like, take your grits and leave.
You just kept lingering, too?
Yeah, kind of. Because it was like an awkward thing of, like, I need to talk to the other people now because I don't want them to think I'm a pervert. Mm-hmm. It's like, no, you're a pervert. We caught you.
Your niece does not like men? Is that... Or
she does.
Date men?
She likes men, but she doesn't like old...
Well, yeah.
Perverted men. I mean, I like old men sometimes, and sometimes if they're pervy, it's fine. But, no, my niece is like, she's dated like a lot of guys, and they're all like around her age. A lot of them are very attractive.
Oh
her one boyfriend that she was like, they went to like a missionary college, my two nieces, and
like Mormon?
No, it was like evangelical or something. Okay. But I feel like she was kind of like pressured to date this one guy who was like kind of doofy, and he was the least attractive guy she's ever dated. And she like was like, I don't want to be with this guy. Both of my nieces were kind of like pressured to be with men, and like not sexual, obviously, because they weren't allowed to have sex at the school, even though they were like in college. But then they were like, kind of, I feel like they were being pressured to get married.
Like they were, by whom though? Like
by the school, by their friends.
Like arranged marriages, almost like, okay, this person would be good for you. And were they like, oh, well, this boy will be good for you because he'll take care of you? Like, were they kind of uplifting to the women at that school?
I think it was the thing of like, look for someone who you have a bond with. So it could have been just like someone she would have wanted to be friends with, but then there was this pressure. They're like, obviously, if you tell people in their early 20s, like, you can't have sex unless you're married, they're going to want to get married to whomever so they can, have sex, I feel like. So they end up marrying whomever, and it's like, plus the thing about that is, especially in the case of the boys, it's like, they don't love you for you. They just want to, like, get married to somebody. So both of the guys that my nieces were kind of like, no thanks. They both instantly found other women and married them, like, instantly. Like, my one niece was actually, not the one you met, but a different one. She was actually engaged to be married, and she broke it off, and he was married within a year to someone else.
Are they sisters?
Yeah. So they're my two oldest nieces. I have, like, a million other nieces.
Really?
So many nieces. I don't even know all their names.
Aren't you're only one of 4 though, right?
Yeah. I don't have that many nieces, but I have I have one brother who had them, and then I had my youngest brother has 3 daughters from 3 different baby mamas, and I don't know the one daughter's. I think her name is like Isabella or something. That's not.
Are you close with them?
No.
Those girls?
See, the older
Do you have
two.
nephews?
I have no nephews. Like, our family name is dead.
Wow.
Yeah, unless one of the girls doesn't. Well, then she could have children. She could have not have a husband and have children and give those children our name.
Yeah, or even if she does marry a man, she doesn't have to take their name.
He could take her name.
Exactly.
Yeah, I have a friend who had a green card marriage, and he took her name.
If I didn't hate my maiden name, I would have kept it, and I would have had my husband take my name. I wanted to get rid of, like, it just
Is it gross?
It didn't flow with my first name, and, like, I just didn't want it anymore, and, like, it was odd.
It didn't flow with Paige.
Yeah. Yeah.
I should probably introduce you.
Oh, hi.
Hi, Paige.
Hey, Drew.
So that's kind of what you're doing now. You're, like, working. You're, like, momming. Your kids are, like, all in school, or are they?
They're all in school now.
You're not, like, homeschooling?
No, but I did for,
really?
My God, through COVID, and then...
Oh, right.
And then for an extra year, for a total of 2 years, I think, 2.5 years almost.
Yeah.
And I was the worst homeschool teacher ever. I was the worst student. I mean, that's what we were just talking about. I did not do well in school. I tested, like, I did really well in my SATs, for example, and then I guess they put me through all this testing in high school because I was troubled and, like, tested.
Did you graduate?
Yeah, I did barely, but
Did you go to college?
No.
Okay.
No, I was ready to get the fuck out, and I was 17 when I graduated.
Right.
But immediately moved in with a boyfriend and was working in a restaurant. I just had, like, no goals at all. And it's such a shame because now, like, I realize I would have made the best attorney. Like, I would have made a really good lawyer.
Yeah, I mean, you still could.
Well,
you could be an Aaron Brockovich.
It's a lot of work.
I know.
And I don't like to, no, I have trouble studying. I really, no one ever taught me how. And of course I never asked, and it just never became, it has to be a habit. And so, like, that's my biggest, like, with my kids,
what do they call people who are not, like, neuronormative? Is that, like, a term? Like, people on the spectrum, or people who just learn differently? Is it neuro adjacent, or?
I don't know.
The word even neuro? There's some term like that. People that are just, they don't think like everyone else thinks. And a lot of those people just have learning,
it's sort of like a learning disability, or a learning difference. I think, I mean, I don't think anybody really learns the same or thinks the same. And I mean, I feel like everybody's really, well, some people say everybody's on the spectrum. That's like what a spectrum is. Yeah. So, I mean, there are people who are at a similar place on the spectrum, but have, are more high functioning, according to societal standards. And, but I just, I was never taught how to work. And or, at work for things. I was a little spoiled.
Mm.
My mom, like, did my homework for me because if I was having trouble with it, if I couldn't do it by myself, she didn't want to take the time to sit down and teach me.
Mm.
So she just did it for me.
Okay.
And then I would either copy it over in my own handwriting, or it would just, like, she would just, like, fake, like,
yeah,
write like a kid. And one time she wrote an essay for me and it won, like, a state award. And they asked me, like, I didn't even read it. I just copied it over, but, like, was watching TV and didn't pay attention to anything that it said.
Mm.
And I think it was, like, If I Were President. I found it recently, and it was beautifully written, but it was, like, I think it was for 8th grade, and it was very, like, you could tell, like, this person watches MSNBC all day long, like,
yeah.
It was not an 8th grade essay, and
it was, like,
I
words
won
that you didn't know.
first place in this, like, statewide essay contest, and they were like, this is so, and, I can't believe you think like this. It's amazing that somebody your age would come up with these ideas. And I'm like, oh, yeah. I know, right?
So smart. It's so funny.
So it's hard for me to, like, I want to do that with my kids, too, because I don't have a lot of patience either to sit down and teach. Luckily, my husband's the opposite, and he is, like, teach this, like, he's great with them. He's amazing with them.
Yeah.
And, like, so much so that it, like, makes up for my deficiency of being a really crappy teacher. But we do, like, it's a good balance too, though, because I bring all the, the art and the like the
creativity.
Yeah, but also, like, intuitive stuff, like, emotional intelligence is definitely my wheelhouse.
Oh, yeah.
Whereas...
Have you read this book?
No, I think I've seen it in my Audible, though.
It's literally been next to my bed for 3 years. I forced my mom to buy it for me, and I never read it, but I heard him on Brene Brown's, one of her podcasts.
She's cool.
Yeah, I like her, but he had, like, I think he went to Harvard, but the whole book is just about, we need to work on our emotional intelligence.
Did you finish this already?
No.
Yeah, because, I wouldn't borrow it anyway, because I can't, like, I cannot
You're not a
focus.
book reader?
No, but I go through, like, an Audible book every other day.
Yeah, check it out on Audible. I do the same thing, because I'm a podcaster, and I listen to podcasts, and and I'm in a book club now, so I found that I have to do, like, Audible.
Are you?
I am, but I'm, like, the worst.
I'm not a big fan of fiction, and book clubs usually go with fiction, but I love, like, stuff like that.
Because, again, I'm a Taurus. I'm not a big fan of, like, somebody picking out a book and, like, being like, we're going to read this, which is exactly what happens.
Why are you in a book club, then?
I don't know.
Because that's literally what a book club is.
But I do like someone to say, this is my favorite book right now, and then, like, share it with you, and then you get to, like, read it and be like, wow, they like this? I get to throw shade at them. The other thing is that I think the biggest struggle with book clubs is, like, when you get to the book club and then, like, everyone just kind of wants to drink and party, and then you're like, no, we got to talk about the book, guys.
Do they drink and party at book clubs?
I've only been involved with 2 book clubs, and it's like mom's night out, basically.
Really?
Yeah. The first one was like, it was a big book club, and I wasn't even in it. It was only for women. And I was allowed to go because I'm non-binary, and because one of my best friends was in it, and she's like, I'm bringing him, whatever. And they were like, okay, he's cool. But I would get there, and there'd be talk of the book for like 5 minutes, and then everyone would get shit-faced. It was really fun, but I was also like, I do actually miss, like, literary conversations.
Yeah.
Because that was, like, one of the only parts of school I was kind of good at. It was, like, English. I also like history.
Yeah, that's my best.
Yeah. Like, writing.
Best area.
I used to be forced to read 1 million short stories, and I liked them. I really liked talking about them. Mm-hmm. And I liked the teacher suggesting things and then me going like, wow, symbolism.
That's what I used to, that's the only time that anyone could ever get my attention, if they were talking about something that they weren't supposed to be teaching us, Like,
yeah.
And I went to Catholic school for a while. I got kicked out of
Are you Catholic?
All of them. I was raised Catholic.
Okay.
I am agnostic.
So we have that kinship now.
You were raised Catholic too?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
We're the darkest, funniest people. Yeah.
Yeah.
We're darker than Jews. We're like the darkest.
I am so appalled by the Catholic Church. Like it's actually been a struggle for the past few years for me, and I really started to think about it during lockdown. I guess a lot of people were going there, but
yeah.
I wondered if I was actually an atheist. And because I would always say like, oh yeah, I'll pray for you, and and I would pray myself like, please God, can you help me with this, or can you help me see this way, or whatever. And then I was like, who am I even talking to?
Yeah.
Like, this doesn't make any sense to me, and why am I going along with this? I don't go along with things easily. Like, how did I get into this, like, fall into this trap?
Yeah.
And I do think that organized religion is the biggest, most ridiculous thing in the world. Churches are so rich, and it's they don't put their money where their mouth is. That's for freaking sure. And it's so I'm definitely agnostic, and possibly atheist. But I'm not going to commit to that because. But I definitely don't believe that God is a he. Yeah. And not necessarily a she either, but it just drives me crazy when they're like, he has risen, or like he. Yeah. What?
Right. When he talked to the people that he allegedly talked to, was it a man's voice, or were they just hearing their own voice?
Yeah. And look who wrote the Bible.
I know, they were all men. I think there was like a book written by a woman, but it's like not in the Bible, is it?
Yeah, I think. Well, yeah, I don't want to start talking about the Bible because I have never I've avoided it my whole life, and somebody's going to be like, she doesn't know what she's talking about, and then it'll
The Book of Page.
The Book of Page.
The page in the book.
No one should ever listen to me. But, I wanted to ask you this because you mentioned being non-binary. Mm-hmm. And I was telling somebody, I was picking out that wine for you. Mm-hmm. And I was like, oh, this is a gift for my friend. And I was like, just kind of telling the story, and somebody that I'm getting to know. And I kept saying he, and I was like, wait, I should be saying they. Like, do you care if people...
I don't personally. I accept all pronouns.
Right.
And that's mainly because it's just easier. And I also... I don't find, like, resistance to hearing he or she. I think it's funny because I do get called... That's the thing. Even if I went by he, I do get called she sometimes. Mm-hmm. Like, people sometimes see me at a certain angle... Mm-hmm. And they go, oh, I'm sorry, ma'am, like, can you, and they'll be like, oh my God, and then they freak out because they called me ma'am, and I'm like,
well, you are pretty.
I'm like, I know I'm pretty. I say that sometimes.
Mm-hmm.
I don't get offended by being mistook for a woman because women are great. But, and I mean, I tried, it's funny, I talked about this in the program for the show we did.
That's what I was talking about, because that's what clicked. I was like, wait, oh, yeah, that's right, because they didn't print they.
Right.
We were talking about how conservative that area is.
Yeah.
And, because I was trying to get a role for a man's role.
Yeah.
And they were like, no.
Yeah.
Like, why not? But, I think it would be great to...
It would be so hot.
I know, I'd like to have, like, a pencil skirt and, like, a jacket, I thought it would be really cute, but...
yeah, that theater is so conservative, and...
Right. But as I was going, so I was like, I mean, they, and then I would say, and then he, and then I'm like, oh, I mean, they, and then I'm like, wait, I'm like, damn it, it's hard to get used to.
Yeah, you were having a struggle, and I wasn't even in the room.
Just the words. Obviously, I don't struggle with the theory or like the fact or what it is at all, but it's like it is hard getting used to the verbiage.
A lot of people really want you to call them the pronouns they want, which is difficult, and I think they're always going to run into some resistance with that when it comes to strangers, because how the fuck is a stranger supposed to know what your pronouns are? Mm-hmm. If you look a certain way, they're going to call you what they think you look like.
Right, and you can't get offended.
You have to if you want to be happy, you just got to say that's going to happen, accept that. But then again, if you ask someone to be a part of your life, they should respect your pronouns.
Mm-hmm.
I always look at it, or I recently thought about it as like when you go to France and like maybe you don't speak French, but like they want you to at least try to speak French.
Mm-hmm.
And then they go, oh, honey, we'll talk in English, but like, thank you for trying.
Mm-hmm.
Because it's just a respect thing. You know, it's like, you know, I tried to understand you
mm-hmm.
and I'm still trying. And like, that's what I think people need to do is just consider that people.
But there's always that asshole who like walks into a boutique in France and is like, does anyone speak English around here?
Merci beaucoup, bays.
I love France.
Some chocolate ganache. Hello, lovers. This is Drew Michael, and I am here to tell you about Anchor. Have you heard of Anchor? Let me tell you. Well, first of all, let me start by saying that Anchor, now by Spotify, isn't that cool? It literally has gotten me through the first 2 years of having a podcast. Like, I would not have been able to start this podcast without Anchor, and I would not have been able to continue to produce it all by myself with no other resources than just this without Anchor. What resources, you might ask, does Anchor provide? Well, listen, it's the easiest way to make a podcast with everything you need all in one place. Let me explain some more. Anchor has tools that allow you to record and edit your podcast right from your phone or computer. When hosting on Anchor, you can distribute your podcast on listening platforms like Spotify, Apple Podcast, and many more platforms. It's everything you need to make a podcast all in one place. And best of all, Anchor is totally free. That's right. So if you're a cheap slut like me and you're just trying to make something, let me tell you, I just need to talk. I just need to listen. I just need to have good conversations. And there was just no other way I could have done it. Anchor was amazing. If you are like me and you just want to start something, if you just want to create, if you just want to like let your freak flag fly, then download the Anchor app or go to anchor.fm to get started. Download the Anchor app or go to anchor.fm to get started. And bye-bye! So you've never had sex in France?
Oh, fuck yeah. Yeah.
Are Frenchmen...
not with it, not like...
Oh.
No, not with like some rando in France, but I mean, whoever I was with.
I've only met French...
Oh, wait, no.
Oh.
I almost said that I lost my virginity in France, but I did not, and that was actually... So, in the high school... Sorry, I cut you off.
No, it's okay.
Okay. The Catholic high school that I went to offered trips abroad once a year, and it was like a 10-day trip, and you had to pay for it. You know, it was like... But for families that could afford it. And my family wasn't wealthy, but they loved to give their kids opportunities like that to like see the world. Yeah. And it was a very affordable trip. So when I was like in 9th grade, they sent me to Italy for 10 days. And that was when I met like my first boyfriend. Was on the plane. We just happened to be sitting next to each other.
He was American?
Oh yeah, he was in my school. Like we were all going together, but I was one of... There were only 2 freshmen, and then they were mostly like juniors and seniors, and he was a junior, and we were seated next to each other on the plane, and I remember he was like gently touching my hand, and I was 14, so I was like you get like the tingles, you know, like when somebody's touching you like really softly. That's not how it started.
He like said something to you first.
Well, no, we were just sitting. It was like however many hour flight, and so we just talked the whole time, and
but
he kept doing that, and then I was like starting to feel like the sexy vibes, like things were happening in my body that had never happened before, and
suddenly you grew breasts.
I never really did grow breasts.
They still haven't come in?
Yeah, they did a little bit. Oh no, they got pretty big when I was and plus I nursed, and they got pretty big, but and then they shrunk down, and nope, that's about as big as they get naturally. But but so we almost had sex on that trip.
on the plane?
No, on like during that 10 days. And then, but as soon as we got back to the States, we like were kind of like going together or whatever.
Yeah.
And I lost my virginity to him in the front seat of a car.
Not even the back seat?
On a school night. No. I just wanted to have sex so bad. Like I didn't, he was not attractive. We had nothing in common except that he liked me.
Yeah.
And.
Which feels good when you're.
I like them if they like me, you know, like. I had no self-respect ever really until, you know, my 30s.
Which means maybe you weren't trained or you weren't taught to have that.
No, certainly not.
Right.
Yeah, my mother didn't really teach us anything. She had a lot of daughters and none of us.
How many daughters?
5.
No sons?
2, yeah.
Oh my God. You were Catholic.
Yeah. I know, people used to always say that, oh, you must either be Catholic or crazy.
Or both.
And I would always say both. Very dysfunctional.
Where do you fall in the line of birth order?
Right smack in the middle.
Okay.
Yeah. But I wasn't, I got my period, had no idea what to do. And my mom was out of town at the time when it happened. And my older sister was a weirdo. And she's like, just go away. I'm not going to teach you anything. And so,
So who helped you with that?
I just kind of figured it out from, you know, TV, I guess.
You were like, why isn't it blue? The TV said it was going to be blue.
It definitely was not what... Oh, yeah, for the MaxiPad commercials, the blue liquid. No, I had actually, like, my 2 best friends developed early. And, I remember, like, you know, paying attention to what they had said, and they had immediately used tampons, and so that's what I figured was what I was supposed to do, and figured it out.
There's a really funny show. I think it's the show called, what's it called? It's like Paper Girls. Have you seen it? It's on Amazon. It's about girls. They all have a paper route. They're all teenage girls. And then, like, on the first night, like, they get like shot into like a time warp, like they go into the future, and then they're like in a future where like people that travel through time are criminals. Like it's against the law to do that.
Oh, that's cool.
It's like really good. But one girl, at some point, a girl gets her period. I think it's that show, and the other girls have no idea how to put the tampon in, and the girl's like, I need to figure this out, and like they're like, we don't know. You're the first one to get your period. It was
Did it have Sandra Bullock in it?
Yeah, the little Sandy Bullock. No.
Do you have a thing for Sandra Bullock?
She's not in it.
No, because like I binged this, like your podcast for a few days because I was cleaning out the garage, and I
talk about her.
I had finished the one that I liked a lot that was similar to yours, but like a female host and like very like, you know, feminist, you know, but sex.
Right.
And so then I binged and like 3 episodes in a row, you like mentioned Sandra Bullock, and I was like, I remember saying out loud, I was like, do you have a thing for Sandra Bullock? And wait, no, who am I talking to? But it was just so funny because like no one else reacted to it, and I was like, are they not picking up on the fact that he like mentioned Sandra Bullock a lot?
He's like obsessed. Well,
or was that just a coincidence?
I was raised like watching a lot of romantic comedies, and like, so anything by Nora Ephron, you know, and so there was a lot of Tom Hanks, a lot of Meg Ryan, and then Sandra Bullock came on the scene, and I just thought she was so different. Yeah. So I kind of really like her.
I just watched Practical Magic for the first time 2 nights ago.
I think they just added it to HBO.
Yeah.
Yeah.
HBO Max.
We're gonna watch it. When my mom divorced my dad.
Oh, do I need a coaster?
No, I don't know.
Are you sure? Is that just sweat?
I don't know.
Oh my gosh.
TJ Maxx. It's fine.
Do you have a coaster? If I ruin this table, I'm gonna feel really bad.
It was like $14. No, you can use like a tissue.
This was $14?
I don't know.
I love it.
The marble came up off the frame, so like they gave me a discount.
If it was $14, it's not real marble, but
yeah, I don't know.
It's still super cute. It's very much my style.
It might be granite.
It is from India?
Well, granite's probably more expensive than marble. I don't know.
No.
No, I think that just happens. I think it's probably absorbing the moisture, and it'll just like cough it out later. You can...
Don't stain.
No, it's really okay. So my mom, when she was divorcing my dad, met a guy like in an AOL chat room, and
you have mail.
Yeah, that was probably around the time that came out a little later, but that's back when they would send you the AOL CDs in the mail, and you just kept putting them in and trying to get more free shit. But so my mom fell in love with a guy that she never met, and around that time she was obsessed with the movie Practical Magic, and she would watch it like every day. And I mean, she was getting out of like a 30-year marriage, and so she was definitely going through some bullshit.
Right.
But anyway, she didn't end up marrying that guy. She ended up like getting with my stepdad, but that all happened like around the same time. But so neither of us have watched that movie in forever, and so like now that I saw it, I was like, oh my god, we have to watch it. We have to watch it together. Like, you can't watch it without me. And she's like, I want to watch it.
That is so sweet.
And I was like, Mom, I'm not even going to give you the HBO Max password because you're going to fucking watch it without me.
I bet that if you've seen it before, like when you saw it when it was timely, that it's watching it again now, you'll probably think it's still good.
Well, this will blow your mind.
Like, it's very 90s. Is that when it came out? 90. Yeah.
Baby Evan Rachel Wood is
in
it.
That's
right. So crazy to think about. This was before the documentary. Before what they talked about in the documentary.
Isn't that so sad? Like, getting back to our very first topic about how women's lives are changed by one little event.
But also knowing that her life leading up to, I mean, she was susceptible. I mean, she had not a lot of support. No one taught her about her body or about sex or about...
Yeah, hello.
Yeah.
Right. That's why it's like, and then on to the question you asked about how his mother had changed me.
Yeah.
It's all connected. Like, motherhood is, to me, like, I have to make sure that I do everything that was not done for me, or, you know, I had a therapist who referred to it as purifying the well of, you know, your family's dirty well water of all that crap that was thrown in there into your beautiful, pure little well when you were born, and all that shit that has piled up over the years, and generational crap that, you know, like like when you become a mother. I mean, we all have the power, but for me now, especially having daughters, like, I can make their lives very different because of what I went through.
Yeah. You have 2 daughters?
2, yeah, and a son. And then I was really, like, I was so upset when I found out I was having a boy, because I was like, I don't know what to do with a boy. Like, I know, it's hard because I want to raise him to not be the boys that I have always, and I don't know, I feel this is one of my biggest issues, and I feel horrible even saying it out loud, but I have a lot of resentment towards men in general.
Yeah.
And I mean, I could say straight men, but and I don't want to, you know, offend in any way just because you were born with a penis, or if you identify as a male, or, you know, and of course that, like, all the lines are blurred now, but it just seems like I've just had so many experiences with, like, men just have never disappointed me.
Or failed to disappoint you.
Failed to disappoint me.
Yeah.
Exactly. I have never been surprised by a man in a good way. And that's, you know, my father, my brothers, my uncles, my cousins, my teachers, my doctors, like...
Yeah.
It just, I mean, it happened today. I got a married man asked for my phone number today. And it seemed like a much older man,
At
too.
work.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Much older man. So I didn't feel like my guard was down, you know?
Yeah.
And I thought he was being, like, really goofy. And, you know, I like people that have personalities and they're, you know, like, joking around and playful. And so I, you know, let my guard down and I was being myself. And I guess he liked it too much because he asked if he could call me. And I said, well, I'm married. And he said, I am too. I'm like, I'm going to go now.
Oh my God.
And then I just, I'm just like, damn it.
Yeah.
Like, really?
Yeah. It's pretty crazy.
Do you know anybody who has that same thing? Like
being constantly hit on or disappointed
well, no, and
by
it's
men.
not even being constantly hit on. It's just like, you know, at every turn, like I had doctors who just like completely just failed to give me the care that I needed or cared to care, and or, you know, made light of things, and like, you know, teachers who treated me differently because I was female, and like, I mean, it goes way back, but
I know plenty
but it does like really kind of, you know, it's a dark cloud over me that I know is not fair.
Yeah.
And I have a really hard time clearing it.
Well, it's not fair to them, but it's not fair to you also. Like, the burden of having to hold hatred is so damning. It's so stupid.
Yeah.
And I mean, I have daddy issues. I have been disappointed by men and myself, and add that to the confusion of understanding, like, gender. For me, it's like, huh?
Right.
So I do I think a lot of the sluttier times in my life, or the times I desire, like, carnal desires, like, it's like I'm looking for acceptance.
Yeah.
Like, almost like, once a guy says, like, yeah, I'll hook up with you, I'm like, okay, bye. Like, I just want to know that you want to hook up with me, and then I don't actually need to hook up with you. Like, I've hooked up with tons of guys I probably wouldn't have hooked up with if I didn't have daddy issues. Like, yeah. I've gotten gonorrhea in my throat.
So that was real? I texted you that day because I thought the way you said it was so funny. Show me your gonorrhea. Right? Was it, I want to see your gonorrhea?
I want to see your gonorrhea. Wait, who did I say
and
that
then
to?
You were,
did I say it to you?
That was when, like, no, you were solo on that one. I think it was maybe your most recent one because you didn't have a guest, and it was...
Yeah.
And so, and I just, like, the way you said it, I was like, almost spit out, like, whatever I had just taken a sip of.
Oh, because I was saying, like send in emails, like, write
anything.
in. Like, I want to know where you've had your gonorrhea. Well, it's actually really rare to have gonorrhea in your throat.
I didn't know you could.
It's usually in your genitals or your butthole, but, yeah. If someone has gonorrhea and you give them deep penetrative oral sex, if they have a penis, probably that's how you would get it.
Oh.
You could get it in your throat.
So I assume that's how you got it.
Yeah, this was pre-COVID, so nobody was like, but I was sick forever. And I couldn't, like, antibiotics weren't doing it right away. I was sick for so long.
Now, did they give you the same antibiotic for throat gonorrhea that they do for...
Well, see, that's the thing. Like, if it's just a cold, they might give you, like, just a low grade antibiotic or something.
Yeah, like a Z-Pack or whatever.
But they want to, like, knock it out if it's gonorrhea. Yeah. So, like, you go on, like, a course of antibiotics for a certain amount of time. And, oh man, that slutty phase was, like, I wouldn't mind doing it again sometime soon, but, the amount of times I had to go on antibiotics for things I got, I only got things twice, but there was another time I had a scare. This really hot guy was, like, checking me out on the subway, and I was checking him out, and then, like, we got off at my stop, and he got off, and he just followed me back to my apartment, and we had sex without a condom, and then when we were done, he was like, "Are you clean?" And he taught me, and I was like, I'm sorry, you just fucked me. Why didn't we talk about this before? Like, yes, are you clean? And he was like, oh, in my country, like, because he's from somewhere else, we don't have AIDS. And I went, oh, fuck. Like, you've been saying that to everybody? You don't think you have AIDS wherever you're from?
Gosh.
Also, how many guys have you fucked here? So I was like...
And there are other things that you can give. Other presents.
Right. So I've
never had an STD.
You didn't? Oh.
Never.
I said you didn't.
I didn't, ever.
Never have you ever?
No, I've never had a yeast infection either, which people find shocking.
That's really awesome, because those are easy to get.
I know. I've gotten UTIs like crazy, though, but...
Oh, that's hard to kind of
know. And
that's
often from, like, you know, not being clean enough, or...
Oh, dirty dicks?
Like dirty hippie dicks.
Yeah,
I had a few of those.
My friend, Priscilla, on the show, I think she talked about it once, her boyfriend left, and
he was gone for like months and months and months, and when he came back, I think they had a lot of sex, and she got a UTI. Her vagina was like used to not. That's why I'm like afraid after. I mean, so I moved here 5 years ago, which is why I started the fucking podcast, and I haven't had sex. I've had oral sex since I moved here, but nothing else. And I'm afraid like and then COVID happened. I haven't like kissed anyone.
Oh my gosh, that's right.
I haven't had anyone's germs in me for a long time. And I know how my body is. My body, like, I will probably get sick the next time I make out with someone, and it probably will just be like a little cold. But I'll be like, oh God.
We're so much more aware of that now.
Yeah.
Because of, I mean, I don't want to get into the whole mask thing, but I mean, it definitely slowed down a lot of the other shit that was going around as well. I mean, it has to like even just a little bit.
Yeah.
Because of, and people are much more careful about like touching things, like washing their hands more. Like you're so much more aware, and of course, like all of our immune systems were weakened a little bit during that time.
Oh yeah, because we were so like, we weren't being exposed to anything.
Yeah.
And I've been using way too much hand sanitizer.
Yeah, that's actually counterproductive after a while, after a certain amount.
Yeah. Now I just use it when I've like been counting money. But it's still better to wash your hands with water and soap than...
Apparently you don't even need the soap. I mean, like it's helpful, but it's the friction that, like, the harder you scrub your hands, then that's how they get really clean. But so, that might not be true.
I'll start exfoliating. Well, I think it's too bad that friction doesn't kill STIs, because...
You would think that would be, like... If you fucked me harder, I wouldn't have gotten this.
Yeah, it's like, really your fault. It's because your dick's too skinny and there's not enough friction. Actually, I don't like friction. I like uncircumcised guys. There's, like, very little friction.
Oh, yeah, I heard you say... Wait. Oh, because of... Yeah.
I'm obsessed. And there's not enough. There's not nearly enough.
I have never had intercourse with one, but and I don't think I actually saw one in person, but I hooked up with a guy, like just made out and touched it, and I probably wouldn't have even known or realized it, except somebody had told me like, oh, John's not circumcised, and so I was like nervous to touch it, and it didn't last long, but yeah. I don't have experience with one of those.
Yeah.
What's better? I mean, like, is that the only thing that's better about them? Why you prefer?
Well, there's a lot of reasons, and I understand too. Like, we live in a culture where it's way more common to be circumcised. So, like, for a woman or for a girl, if she's still young when she first encounters penises, like, it's already a weird thing. So you already have to get used to like something that you don't have, and then suddenly you're like, and there's some that have an extra, like, you know, skin flap or whatever. Not like a flap, but you're like, what?
Fold?
Yeah. Or like a ring of skin.
Oh.
Or it's basically like if your clitoris didn't have a hood.
Yeah.
So that's like, it's literally the same thing as your clitoral hood, but bigger, obviously.
And from what I understand, that uncircumcised men, or whatever,
people with penises.
Penis people. Uncircumcised penis people, like, enjoy, like, it's more enjoyable.
It is.
But I mean, how could you possibly, like, ever gauge that? But
sex is relative, sexual enjoyment is relative, but the fact is that, when they remove the foreskin, they remove a humongous quantity of nerves.
Oh, right, yeah.
And the most sensitive part of the male penis is, like, in the foreskin.
Right, okay.
And that little band of skin underneath that they usually just slash, which they don't even have to cut to circumcise a penis. They'll just do it because they're being sloppy or because they don't give a shit about people. It's called the frenulum, and it's really, really sensitive.
Oh.
And when the thing is like, men might be young and they might still have a lot of, like, senses down there, but, like, as you get older, especially not having any protection of the glands, you start to lose a lot of sensation. So as you get older, it becomes less and less sensitive, and then...
Like, at what age?
I mean, I'm in my 30s, and I found that, like, things I used to enjoy on my penis, like I don't even feel it anymore.
Huh.
Yeah. So it's really sad. I mean, I'm sure there's some way you could stimulate the nerves, but I mean, that might be weird or painful or expensive. Yeah, it's much more enjoyable. And then the other thing I learned is it's actually much more enjoyable for the female partner if you have sex with females, because it is designed to move back and forth with the insertion of the penis. So like it cuts down on friction, and like people technically don't really need lubricant necessarily if there's a foreskin. And if there's a certain amount of like vaginal lubricant that's naturally happening.
Right, yeah.
Obviously that's not true for like older women. They need to have something extra. And older men too maybe. But yeah, it's designed, the male penis is designed for the female vagina. And when you cut something off, it's suddenly like not working 100% how it's supposed to. It would be like taking a part off an airplane. That's like, you can still fly it, but it's not working 100%. So, and there's just the fact that like
it doesn't get in.
Every man is born with this body part, and then people are removing it. It's like, why? And a lot of people are doing it in the name of God. It's like, why would God give you a foreskin if He wanted you to remove it?
How did circumcision start in the first place? Like,
well, one of the places it started was in Judaism.
Right.
And it was a long time ago. And it was
why?
They said it was
cleanliness?
No, they said it was a thing of like, you're giving up something that's so valuable to yourself because of your love of God.
Oh.
And actually, it wasn't even that. It was, you're giving up the foreskin of your son, which was even more valuable to the man than his own. It's a barbaric tradition. And if you say that, people think you're an anti-Semite, but it is absolutely barbaric. And that was so long ago. The fact that they still have those beliefs is like unbelievable.
Oh my God.
I know.
Now I feel so guilty.
Why? Because you circumcised your son.
Yeah, and I wonder why my husband went along with it. Like why it would, because, you know, I guess because he is, then that's when his son should be. And
that's a big thing.
Like I always heard it was a cleanliness thing. It's harder to keep clean.
They say that, and then they say that your chances of getting an STI are greater if you have a foreskin.
Yeah.
But that's like saying your chances of getting an STI are greater if you have a vagina, because that's also true. And it's not like we're turning vaginas into penises on everybody, especially not in Texas. We're not in Texas, but yeah, it's a big thing. But it's sad because like, and I'm circumcised, but it's like I could be mad at my parents, but they were only doing what they knew to do. I could be mad at the doctor that did it. And actually, technically, any doctor that gives a baby a circumcision is breaking his Hippocratic oath or her Hippocratic oath. Because it's not necessary, and it doesn't actually do anything good for the penis. So they're
crazy.
They're hurting children. Yeah. I know.
Oh my gosh.
Look at this crazy thing that happened from the shoes I was wearing.
Oh my God, that has to be so
Speaking of getting cut.
irritating when you...
Well, it doesn't actually hurt, but it looks like someone took a cheese grater on my foot. It's okay. What else is sexy?
I have some organic balm you can put on it. It's like $89.
Do they have like sexy things at that store?
No.
No. My friend bought a vibrator, and it's Lexi. She's on the show sometimes. I won't tell you the funny thing that happened, but they bought it at CVS in the family planning section, which is what they have to call the aisle with lube and vibrators.
But I didn't know they had vibrators at CVS.
Yeah, I'm kind of like impressed.
Yeah.
Like South Carolina, CVS, vibrators. I would imagine that in New York City, but like, okay. I mean, it's just a little bullet. I don't think they have full on like...
And that's what it's for? It's not like there's not another purpose? Because sometimes, you know, there's like massage guns that are like...
No, it's definitely for genital stimulation. Yeah. But it's like marketed on that aisle as like what straight couples can use together to make their sex lives better. So that's okay. But if you want to put it in his butthole, I don't know. Don't tell your priest. Don't tell your pastor.
Okay, I'll make sure I don't tell my pastor.
Don't tell your pastor if you're putting a bullet in your husband's butt.
I did actually, before I got this job, I applied in person for one other job, and it was at that Bad Kitty.
Yeah.
And I didn't get hired, which is like the weirdest thing. Like, they never even called me back because I thought I would, like, nailed it.
Yeah.
So I was like, I'm perfect for this job.
And they were hiring?
Yeah.
Oh.
Like, urgently hiring. So there must have been somebody a little more perfect because it was, like, literally I'd be great at that job.
I went there once because I wanted to see what they had, and I also wanted to see if there was...
crap.
What?
Kind of.
It's pretty,
yeah. I mean, they have some nice stuff, but...
It's kind of overpriced. I wanted to see if there was anyone there that would, like to be on the pod, basically. Because I was like, sex store in this little conservative area of the woods. Like, I want to know what that's like.
Mm-hmm.
But it's like the owner and the managers are all from like New Jersey or something, and they come down here
and they claim that it's female owned. It's not.
No, it's not.
Yeah.
It's a dude that lives up north.
And that pissed me off. So I probably would have like rejected, not just because, but because they lie about it.
Oh yeah.
Like, they were like, we're woman owned, and then somebody else told me like, well, actually the owner, the real owner, is this dude who lives in New Jersey.
Do you think it's a franchise?
No, they're only in. I mean, there's one in, and then
there used to be one in.
Oh.
And they like got run out of town.
Really?
Of. Yeah. The woman was just like really intense when I went in there, and I was like, ah. But she did say that they have like a lot of the women that work there are like, they do like educational, like sexual educational things.
Yeah, and they pay for it. So I think they're probably careful about who they bring on.
I would love to work at a sex shop. I think it'd be so much fun. Especially if weirdos came in, because I think weirdos are like ridiculous.
I love weirdos.
Yeah. I mean, as long as they're respectful.
You mentioned this earlier about old men. I used to like enjoy the flirtation of older men as well, even though I knew, like, I mean, you know exactly what they're doing. It's not like, you know, they're like, oh, young girl, I'm gonna, like, you're not fooling anybody. But it was like fun, you know, to kind of get, you know, like, I didn't buy one drink in my entire decade of 20s. Like, I don't think I ever spent any money on alcohol, drugs, anything.
That's awesome.
Because, I mean, like, why would I? And I had fun too. Like, I didn't, like, you know, spend the evening talking to some old dude just because he was gonna pick up my tab. Like, it was fun.
Yeah.
And a lot of times, like, those are the men who will, like, really listen to you. And I'm not talking about the golf pro dudes that just want to talk about themselves and get you to say things that turn them on just because it... Yeah, no. But, like, you know, older men who really kind of just want to be seen with a younger woman or whatever their reason is. But...
they just want to spend time with you.
Yeah. I had one friend that was, like, one of my favorite people to hang out with, and he was kind of gross and older, and, like, I was in my 20s, he was in his 50s. But we hung out all the time because after work, like, we would go to the bar, and he would buy, you know, everything, food, drinks, and just listen to me tell stories. It was sort of like a therapist.
Yeah.
And I got, like, it was the most attention I'd ever gotten in my life. Like, and I talked about real things too, you know, like real experiences, and that was one of my...
But that's like an example of like a symbiotic relationship. Like, you're both getting something out of it.
Yeah.
Where in like, or whereas like these other situations where like you can tell this person does not care if you're enjoying yourself. They're just like a predator. They're just like farting all over your night. With their dirty old man butt.
Yeah, like hunched over you, and like like you're talking and they're like looking around the room. Yeah. So let's get back to your tits.
Oh God.
What were you saying about?
What were you saying about your tits? We were talking about my college degree, but your tits. Oh my God. I haven't been treated like a piece of meat since I left New York. I used to get hit on all the time in the city, whenever I lived in a city, by like homeless men, which was like, oh, okay. There's a couple times it was scary. Like, one time a guy was, like, walking behind me in a dark alley, and I was like, ah, which is super weird because there's not a lot of alleys in New York, but anyway, yeah, I haven't, like, been hit on.
Well, I hate to tell you this because it's kind of heartbreaking, but it's just going to get less and less as you get older.
Unless I get
Youth
everything
is,
sucked
like,
out and re-injected somewhere else.
Oh my gosh. Like, firm young flesh. Oh, I mean, like, I have this thing with my daughters. And my sister's the opposite. It's so funny because she has a teenage daughter now, the one who calls me a genius.
Yeah.
And, like, she's so shy about talking. That's why she calls me, because she's like, well, my aunt will tell me whatever I want to know, and I will, because I believe that, like, using your youth, like, making the most out of it. And I'll tell my daughters the same thing. Like, you got to be safe. Like, you, like, don't trust just anybody, but when you find somebody you trust, have a lot of sex.
Yeah.
Because it is, like, the best time to have, like, your body is beautiful. Like, you know, use it.
Yeah.
And enjoy it, because that's what sex is supposed to be about. Like, it's enjoyable. And, I mean, I never enjoyed sex when I was a teenager because I didn't know I was allowed to.
Yeah.
I thought I was just servicing my boyfriend, and it was expected.
Yeah.
And so I was never taught how to enjoy it. And the boys that I slept with sure as hell didn't know how to help me enjoy it.
Yeah.
But luckily my husband agrees that he, you know, he's like, yeah, I mean, sex is the best. And if you are ready for it, it doesn't matter if you're 13 or 30 or, you know, like, and the best time to do it is when you're, like, in your teens, to be honest.
Yeah.
Like, remember how cute you were?
I know. And that's, like, I think what a lot of my hang-ups come from is the fact that I didn't lose my virginity till I was, like, 19. Like, I feel like I lost out on so many good years. Like, because a lot of my good friends were losing their virginities in high school. And I was like, and I also had, like, opportunities to do stuff with guys. I did some stuff, but I didn't, like, do all the things. But I was like, I feel like I never thought that, like, if a guy was into me and he was flirting with me, I, like, didn't even know, because I couldn't even imagine that he would be. I was like, what? And then later on, in retrospect, I'm like, oh shit, that guy was into me and I didn't even know. And it's like, oh shit, I should have totally jumped on his D.
What was your first time with a boy or a girl?
So I'm a golden gay, I guess. I've never had sex with a girl. Although I did stick my finger in my best friend's vagina once in high school, and then I instantly pulled it out and went, ah!
Was it gross?
Well, I was like, where's your penis? Like, I knew it wasn't there, but as I was going down on her, I
it
thought,
just didn't feel right.
Why is it, like, it was almost like in my head, I was like, it's been removed. Like, an alien abducted you, removed your penis, and now it's, like, nothing there. Which is so offensive, because there's a vagina there, but anyway.
Vaginas are beautiful.
Yeah. But no, I haven't, and, I actually have been on a date with a trans man, and I would be interested in doing that, and I do find a lot of trans guys attractive. And I actually think that...
Fully transitioned.
Well, trans guys who haven't had the phalloplasty, so, like, they still have, like, what looks like, a vagina with an enlarged clitoris.
Right.
I find that very attractive in some trans guys. And I would be totally down to, like, date a trans guy or, like, have sex with a trans guy. Plus, I once went on a date with a guy who was a cisgendered gay guy, and he told me that, like, some of the best sex he ever had was with a trans guy. Like, P&V was, like, so great, he said, and I was like, really? Because, like, I've been a top for a guy before in the butt, but I've never done it with the vagina, and I always kind of think that, like, butt sex is kind of boring, like, as a top.
Yeah.
Like, I'm just kind of like, it's like I put my penis in something and then there's just nothing in there, because a lot of times, like, there is nothing in there.
Right. It's like an endless...
It's like a black hole.
Yeah.
So I'm like,
pink hole.
Oh, okay. And I also, like, I have to be, like, it has to be cerebral. I have to be stimulated mentally for something to be hot. Just, like, going through motions of sex, like, is not.
Maybe, yeah, I'm the same way. Yeah, I have to, and visual for me is huge. Like, which is why, like, as I'm getting older, I'm finding that I'm enjoying sex a lot less, because I used to enjoy watching my own body.
Yeah.
And now that it doesn't look the same as it did when I was in my 20s, it's like, it's disappointing.
You had to take the mirror off the ceiling finally, because you were like, oh, I don't want to.
No, but I really do, like, I mean, it is sort of, I have to, like, remember, like, it's not about that.
Yeah.
And just not look at, you know, how it's different, and that my stomach isn't as flat as it was, and you know.
Or change your idea of what you find attractive.
Exactly. Right. That's what I was just gonna say, is that when I told you, like, it's just gonna get worse as you get older, like, it's gonna get different.
It's gonna get different.
And this is where you really, like, I don't know if it's going to be, like, the fun, you know, like when you say you miss your slutty times.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, I think that there is a season for that in your life, and it doesn't always come in your older years.
Yeah.
For people, because this is when you have to rely more on the emotional and intellectual connection rather than the physical, because you kind of have to overlook things. Though.
I find that so much hotter. I think there's people...
Well, yeah, so it's better, perhaps?
It might be much more intense.
I mean, I loved a good, like, orgy, you know, but where, you know, everybody in the room is attractive and young.
Yeah.
But, like, now when I imagine being a part of something like that, I would just, like, I would constantly be thinking, like, well, what are they thinking of my older body now?
Yeah. What if it was an orgy of older people?
Then I would be thinking, like, oh, that's how they're aging, and, like, you know, when you're young, and it's like, there's bodies of different shapes and sizes and colors and smells, but it's all like,
it's all
young.
Yeah.
So, I don't know, it's weird. Aging sucks.
It's so weird, and what's really funny is
it's great.
I work at a place where everyone is like 60 plus, and I see a lot of, I don't see naked women, but I see a lot of naked
old
men.
balls.
And I also see a lot of just, like, older people in workout clothes. And so you kind of do see their bodies. And first of all, I sometimes I see this all the time. I see a person over 65 who looks fucking incredible. And you're like, oh my God. Like, you can't even believe they're 60 plus. And that happens way more often than you'd think. And these people have been going to the gym their whole life. So, like, you know, they're still going to the gym, which is like, okay. But then you see people who just look a lot different. They might be the same age, and they look like an old person. It's so weird. It really has to do with genes, but it also has to do with, like, what you're eating, how you're taking care of yourself.
Yeah. What poisons you're putting in your body along the way.
And also, like,
eating habits.
What shit's happened to you? I mean, it's a different story.
Yeah.
If, like, you got into a car
mental
accident.
Trauma. Yeah. Or even just, like...
Yeah. Mental trauma is my main problem, personally. Like, you know, all of my problems stem from mental trauma. And part of that is just the genetic inheritance of mental illness, but also, like, again, like we said, like, not being trained how to deal with my emotions, or what my emotions even were, and then being taught only the worst ways of dealing with your emotions, which is, like, substance abuse,
that's
fucking a lot of people. So, well, I'm excited that I might have intellectual sex. See, the most amazing sex I ever had was with a guy that we would have, like, penetrative sex too, but, like, we both really enjoy just, like, being together, making out, like, tickling each other, doing all, like, the foreplay shit. We loved that. And also one time, my belly hurt, and he was like, just lay your head on my lap and I'll just, like, rub your belly. And I was like, oh my God, this is the best moment of my entire life.
Yeah.
I was like
I like when to get my hair played with.
Oh my God,
even
I
if it's just
that.
Like this, like the same spot over and over again, like real gentle, like, oh, I love it.
If I was with a person who didn't want to play with my hair for an hour, I would be like, I don't think this is gonna work. I really love that. And I also am like, I totally will molest someone. If we're, like, dating, you just lay there, I'm just gonna, like, touch you while you're sleeping. Which sounds, like, really creepy, but I just, like, like really touchy and affectionate like that.
Well, you said that you used to like give massages. So,
oh yeah.
Like I mean, this would not be new to you then, but even just like the like hand massages, and you get like in the fingernail, and then like just the what is it? Oh, like when you are taught how to give a facial, like in skincare facial, like the 3 fingers split across. Oh, it's so, and like they call it like the butterfly, and and the ears. Oh my god, it feels so good.
Yeah, I love a good Q-tip. I know that's really bad.
I know, I do Q-tips as well.
I fucking love a Q-tip.
I guess there is sort of a pleasure to that. I did that.
My aunt once said that. She said, I love sex with my husband, but like nothing trumps a good Q-tip. Like it's just so good. And the truth is, I mean, I think I've found a way to Q-tip wherein like I don't push the wax deeper in. I'm kind of doing like a twisting and rotating, oscillating Q-tip. Also, have you ever put a Q-tip in hydrogen peroxide and just like lightly placed it in your ear?
No.
It'll change your life.
Why? How?
Well, it kind of cleans out your ear, but it starts to bubble, and then it like plugs your ear, and then it's warm. And when you pull the Q-tip out, it's like warm and it like drips down.
Does it like feel like it gushes out?
Yeah, it's really good.
Have you ever candled?
I have not ear candled.
Me neither.
I have done sesame oil in the ear, and then that's a part of the Ayurveda everything. I've put sesame oil in just about every hole in my body before. Because that was like a big thing. You would do, it was called Abhyanga massage. You'd put like all over your body, and then you'd like finger yourself. And then you would like, rinse your mouth. You'd oil pull. You wouldn't put it in your eyeballs.
With sesame oil?
Well, you could do coconut oil.
Oh, yeah, because I've heard about it with coconut oil.
Yeah, they would say sesame oil is good for like winter because it's warming, and coconut's gooder. It's gooder for summer.
It's so much gooder.
But you could put in your ears. I've always used it.
My brother-in-law swishes with coconut oil, and I just can't.
I mean, I don't have the time for it these days, but they do say it helps.
Self-care is really going down the drain, isn't it?
Oh man. Well, I don't know. I did a good amount during COVID because I was like every second of the day was like we're taking it a minute at a time because we're like, what the fuck is this? I baked so much bread. I mean, I was baking bread and doing puzzles. Like what? But the whole world paused for 2 years, or like 1 year for sure, and then kind of 2. Let's just say I gained a ton of weight, and then I lost it, and then I gained it back, and I still haven't lost it. COVID was crazy.
It changed me so much.
Yeah.
It changed everything for me.
Yeah.
Because I did not do self-care. Like, I don't know. It just seems like a blur now because I just wasted the days away.
Yeah.
And I mean, I guess like I got to spend a lot of time with my kids, and that was great.
Yeah.
But there's so much more I could have done. I don't know. It really messed with my head.
I'm not sure like what age group handled it better, because like the little kids were born into a weird ass time. There was kids that were like they missed their senior year of high school. There's old people that like every year is like a blessing they're still alive, and 2 years were taken from them. Like I just don't know when.
Wow.
I don't know what the best age is to have 2 years stolen. It's all fucking weird.
Yeah, or what stage in life? Like I mean, I had a 3-4-year-old at home, but I was 43.
Yeah.
Like there's 20-year-olds that had 3-year-olds at home that it was very different for. So, and working moms who still nurses that still had to go out and leave their kids at home, and oh my god, just how crazy.
I know. And then you think about people that go to jail for even 5 years. I mean, imagine if the pandemic lasted 5 years. I mean, it's still kind of happening, but...
Well, yeah, I mean, it is still out there, but the lockdown, yeah. Yeah, what was I going to say about lockdown? That was...
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah. Well, now I can't remember.
And eventually you should go home to your family.
I do, yeah, because I think it's been more than... How long has it been?
No, I know, because we're having a good conversation.
Oh, it's like almost an hour longer than we thought it would be. Yeah.
Well, we thought it would be 45 minutes.
Yeah, but that's good.
Oh my god. I think you're super wonderful. Thanks for coming on my show.
Oh, thank you for asking me to do your
show.
That's so...
I think you're a podcast star now.
I did kind of push it, though, because I was like, if you ever want me to do your show...
Well, yeah.
I hinted around a little bit, and I don't even know why, because now I'm like...
Well, you were listening to it, and you were like, I like this show.
I just got so comfortable hearing your voice, and and I literally found myself talking back to you out loud, and
you said that.
Like, oh crap.
Why do you like Sandra Bullock so much?
Garage.
Why don't you like
Garage
Sandra
door.
Bullock? I think the only thing that Sandra Bullock did that was bad. She had sex with Ryan Gosling?
Yeah, they were in a movie together, and I think he was a lot younger.
Wait, Ryan Reynolds?
No, Ryan Gosling.
So they had sex in real life?
Yes.
It's wonderful. He's steamy. Have you seen The Notebook?
Yes.
Oh, okay. He needs to show peen in a movie, I think. Has he shown peen in a movie? Yeah, I need some peen. Well, bye, Paige. Okay, lovers, that's it for this week's episode. Thank you again, Paige. You were wonderful. Wonderful. And just a reminder, lovers, to rate, review, and subscribe to our podcast. Your support means the world to us. And don't forget to follow us on Twitter at MakeSexPod, even though Elon Musk is completely changing it. Follow us on Instagram at MakeSexWithMePodcast, and you can send us an email. Please, I dare ya. Send us an email at MakeSexWithMePodcast@gmail.com. And don't forget, we have excellent merch on our Teespring. If you want a t-shirt, if you want I don't remember what we have, hoodies, tote bags, dildos. Oh, maybe one day. Bye-bye. Oh, I hope you're filling your holes with whatever makes you happy.